The first edition of the College Football Playoff Rankings will be unveiled tonight. Where will the Volunteers stand in the top 12? They're going to be in the top 12. I'll tell you where, all that and more. It's your Tuesday Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Tuesday morning, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Vols, your number one spot for Tennessee football news and entertainment. 30 minutes or less, free and available wherever you get your podcasts here on weekdays. Appreciate you guys as always. You every day is your time to shine. Coming up later in the show, segments 2 and 3, we'll get into your mailbag edition of the show. We do it weekly right here on Tuesdays. And here in a matter of seconds, where I think Tennessee is going to be ranked in the first installment of the College Football Playoff Rankings, made for television broadcast coming up later tonight on ESPN. Couldn't do the show without our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook. You get started today with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to go ahead and get started today. All right, got a lot to talk about, got a lot of ground to cover, so we're going to go ahead and jump down into it. Where should Tennessee be ranked in the College Football Playoff rankings here tonight? Well, you guys know me this time of the year, and I'm sure ESPN's getting a ton of mileage out of this specific page on their website, the College Football Power Index. Pocket protectors and glasses, baby. I mean, you guys know me. Sometimes I have to put on the old glasses here to read some of the mailbag questions, but I typically don't wear the glasses here on the show. But when we go College Football Power Index, we go pocket protectors and glasses because these are nerd stats. You play the football game on the field, but, you know, with this era of analytics and all that type of stuff, I mean, you know, all this information is good information, and you can kind of see, especially teams like I cover Tennessee. We watch Tennessee. We root Tennessee for Tennessee. I don't know everything about the Indiana Hoosiers, but I can get a good idea by looking at the Football Power Index, and Indiana is going to be right there in the conversation coming up later tonight. So what are they saying about the University of Tennessee right now? Well, following the win over Kentucky, Tennessee improved to 7-1, but dropped, for what it's worth, 2 spots in the College Football Power Index over at ESPN. I will remind you that 2-loss Alabama sits at number 3. I will remind you that 2-loss Ole Miss sits at number 6. And Tennessee, all that it did was beat a team, didn't lose, it beat a team, albeit not a very good team. And contrary to people jumping in my comments, sorry, Kentucky's not a good football team. It had some high moments earlier in the year, but what they've lost now, 4 straight, not a good football team. Tennessee drops 2 spots in the FBI, down from number 6 to number 8. But still, the FBI believes Tennessee's going to be at 10.2 wins to 2.1 losses. So according to this metric, they probably think that Tennessee's going to lose on the road at Georgia here next weekend, not this weekend, next weekend. It gives Tennessee a 13.1% chance to win out. It gives Tennessee a 12.4% chance to win the SEC, a 73.6% chance of making the playoff. And that's the big number right here. A 73.6% chance to make the playoff, 11% chance to make the national championship, and a 5.3% chance to win the national championship. So that's kind of the percentages right now according to the FBI over at ESPN.com. We'll come back to more of this playoff talk here in a second, but you look at the resume right now for Tennessee. And you're going to hear a lot of these things referenced later tonight on the made-for-television broadcast when they come out and they do this first rankings. These rankings don't matter. It's what happens in a month from now, how they're ranked. And if you remember back in 2022, the first ever college football playoff rankings, hey, Tennessee led the way, number 1, and Tennessee's looking to get back in those rankings for the first time since that installment, the very first one, and that's going to happen tonight, in my opinion, but where is it going to be? More on that here in a moment. You look at the resume, and that's a little subsection over here on the FPI. Tennessee currently has the 33rd ranked strength of schedule. We talk about it all the time. NC State has let Tennessee down. Oklahoma has let Tennessee down. Alabama has kind of let Tennessee down to an extent. Of course, they're still very much in this conversation. But where Tennessee ranks 33rd in strength of schedule right now, you've got the number 13 remaining strength of schedule because you play at Georgia, and then Vanderbilt's having a pretty good season as well to cap off the regular season. You know, those wins would really, really help Tennessee, obviously. I mean, if Tennessee wins those games and you take care of business against Mississippi State this weekend at UTEP, of course, Tennessee's no doubt going to be probably in Atlanta, but will be in the college football playoff no matter what. But the strength of remaining schedule is kind of high up there a little bit. But you want to look at some of these other teams. Well, let's go to efficiencies real quick. Tennessee, of course, we know defensive efficiency, number one ranked team in the country. No shocker there. 9 straight games where Tennessee has held its opponent to under 20 points, which is just incredible. Just incredible. But where you rank number one defensively in the country, Tennessee's offense ranks number 42. 42nd in the nation in offensive efficiency. So a lot of these stats are going to be, kind of utilized here a little bit later tonight. Let's go back to resume here over here at ESPN's Football Power Index. Some of these other teams we're talking about, in terms of where they are in strength of schedule, Georgia's got the number 1 strength of schedule, the number 5 remaining strength of schedule, okay? Oregon's going to be in. I'm going to bypass those. Miami, 46th ranked strength of schedule, 49th ranked remaining strength of schedule. And since Clemson lost over the weekend to Louisville, I feel like if you're a Tennessee fan, you want to continue to root on Miami just to go ahead and run the table and not lose and kind of muddy up those waters a little bit. BYU, which is in this conversation, 61st ranked strength of schedule, 47th ranked remaining strength of schedule. Ohio State, 19th strength of schedule, 23rd remaining strength of schedule. Penn State, who took a devastating loss this past weekend, 28th strength of schedule, 56th remaining strength of schedule. Indiana, and this is one where as soon as Indiana loses, which is probably coming, is it this weekend or next weekend? They got a big game coming up, is completely out of it, right? Indiana's got a 103rd ranked strength of schedule right now, 14th ranked remaining strength of schedule. So when you look at some of those teams that are very much in this conversation, Tennessee's 33rd ranked strength of schedule right now doesn't look horrible, and of course the 13th ranked strength of schedule, remaining strength of schedule really helps Tennessee. I know that's a lot of words right now. Let's go back here to the Football Power Index. Percentage chance to make the playoffs. Remember, 12 spots, 1 goes to a group of 5, 4 goes to the conference champions of the Power 4, and then you're looking at some at-large from there on out. Texas has a 78.4% chance of making the college football playoff. Ohio State has a 91.6% chance. Alabama, which is ranked number 3, according to the Football Power Index, has a 55.7% chance, and more on that here in a moment. Heather Dinich over at ESPN.com has a quote about Tennessee and Alabama if both finish 10-2. Georgia has a 92.8% chance of making the playoffs. Notre Dame, 56.7%. Ole Miss, because it's already got 2 losses, 30.3% chance. Oregon, 95% chance. Tennessee, 73% chance. Miami, 92% chance. Indiana, 86% chance, which, again, unless I'm missing something, I mean, they're going to lose here in a moment, and their resume is not very good, so I don't get that one. But 86% chance for Indiana, 74% chance for Penn State. LSU has a 21% chance. Clemson's percent chance to go to the playoffs have dipped all the way down to 7%. 7% for Clemson. So I found that pretty interesting there. Where's Tennessee in the projections for the first college football playoff rankings? These were, out on Sunday and Monday. Well, on 3, ESPN, The Athletic, CBS Sports, and Sports Illustrated all have Tennessee in their updated playoff rankings. On 3 has Tennessee as the number 10 seed, going to number 7 Indiana, with the winner facing number 2 Miami. ESPN has Tennessee hosting number 9 Boise State, with the winner advancing to face number 1 Oregon. The Athletic has the Vols as the number 10 seed at number 7 Penn State, with number 2 Miami awaiting the winner. CBS Sports put the Vols in the playoff bracket for the first time this year. Jerry Palm has Tennessee as the number 11 seed at number 6 Texas, with the winner facing number 3 Miami. Sports Illustrated has Tennessee as the number 9 seed, playing at number 8 Penn State. So, according to these projections that I just read out, Tennessee is a 10 seed, Tennessee is a 8 seed, Tennessee is a 10 seed, Tennessee is an 11 seed, Tennessee is a 9 seed. So kind of all over the map here. I think the highest that we could see Tennessee being would probably be an 8 seed tonight, but Tennessee's going to be in the college football playoff rankings here, the first installment. Make no ifs, ands, buts about it. Now, of course, Tennessee, if you want to remain in there, you got to beat Georgia, and of course, take care of Vanderbilt at the end of the season. Plus, again, this is week 1, and this is made for TV, so you can't convince me that ESPN's not trying to get some rub from Tennessee fans because it's so fierce, and 100% I believe Tennessee's going to be in the rankings. One, because I think they deserve it right now, but two, because why would you leave Tennessee out this week knowing what's on the schedule coming up next weekend where that could be a loss for Tennessee, and you'd never have them in the field here, at least, the conversation. I'm not saying they couldn't make the field, but at least having them in the field the first 2 weeks, I think makes a whole lot of sense. So Heather Dinich over at ESPN.com, who has not been high on Tennessee at all this year during these rankings every Sunday, she had an interesting quote that I think we need to discuss here. Quote, "If Tennessee finishes as a 2-loss team," ESPN's Heather Dinich wrote, "it could be in trouble in the committee meeting room, where the winner of the Alabama-LSU game could have a better resume. If Alabama wins, though, that could help the Vols if they honor that head-to-head." So truly, what does the committee honor? Does the committee honor true strength of schedule and resume, or how much will they take in head-to-head into the debate? I think head-to-head needs to be a big part of the debate. That would certainly help Tennessee over Alabama, but as we've said on this show, you kind of need Alabama to win because that's your best win right now. But that's under the assumption that the committee values head-to-head over resume. We just don't have the answers to that right now. We might find out some of those tonight. We'll certainly find out what the committee's thought process is throughout the month of November as we do this every single Tuesday night. So it's going to be interesting. Expect Tennessee to be in the rankings here tonight, and it's up to Tennessee to hold on to its ranking spot and, of course, maybe move up by taking care of Mississippi State, and then, of course, winning on the road at Georgia. And then if Tennessee finishes the regular season 10-2, still very much in that conversation, but it gets a little dicey, and that's where we really have to take resumes into consideration, head-to-head and all that. But Tennessee controls its own destiny. No ifs, ands, buts about it, and it's up to Tennessee to remain in that good position. Hey, when we come back, we are going to take a look at your mailbag questions. All that and more is coming up next. We continue on here with a Tuesday morning edition of Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. Hey, Tennessee fans, it's time to recognize the Roy Player of the Week. So far this season, we've pulled over $20,000 to support players on Roy. Micro deposits lead to massive change. With Roy app, you can direct your support to the athletes you love, ensuring that all funds go to the specific player that you choose. Unlike collectives, you know exactly where your support is going, and you receive exclusive content like personal videos and updates throughout the season. The best part, it's risk-free. If the athlete transfers or doesn't deliver on the content, you get your money back. So this week, we could have went a couple of different directions here in terms of who we wanted to give our donation for Roy. Will Brooks is the candidate. Nico had a great game. But I'm going to go with Miles Kitselman. I really like the way Miles Kitselman's playing. So I pitched in $100, and I'd love for you to join me. Even $10 makes a difference. Let's show Miles Kitselman the love and keep him connected to our school. Remember, pay today, celebrate tomorrow. Your support sets up the team for future success. Plus, don't miss out on Roy's exciting giveaway. Win 2 tickets to a game in November. Just download Roy, create an account, enter the referral code Locked On. When you enter, already on Roy, any contribution to an athlete's campaign also gets you entered automatically. No purchase necessary, void where prohibited. Download Roy now and join the NIL game with no subscription or fees. And be sure to check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Roy_return-on-you for more info. Roy, support the players, change the game. And I do want to give a shout out to our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook. NFL season, you can get in on all that action over at FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view the live play-by-play, and so much more, all on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Again, that's at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel. It's an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. It is America's #1 sportsbook. All right, guys, welcome back into your Tuesday morning edition of Locked On Vols. We are taking your mailbag questions. We do it every single Tuesday right here on the show. So every day is a way for me to give back and try to answer some of your questions. I know I don't ever get to all of them, and I apologize, but I'm going to do my best here today. All right, so We'll start with Cameron. What has been more surprising to you thus far this season? Brew McCoy and Squirrel White not having a single receiving touchdown through 8 games, or Cam Seldon being completely non-existent in the offense? Somebody has a question later in the mailbag about Cam Seldon, so I'm not going to talk about him here, but 100% it's the fact that Brew or Squirrel doesn't have a touchdown. Tennessee loves the slot receiver, and I know Squirrel's been dealing with some injury a little bit. I know the passing game's been going through some growing pains. I know the protection's not always been there. It's been a situation this year. Josh Heupel kind of laughed when asked about it in his press conference on Monday morning. He's never really had a year like this. But the more surprising thing or shocking thing is 100% that Brew McCoy and Squirrel White have yet to find the end zone so far this season through 8 games. That is, that is really, really shocking to me. Let's go into Blair has a question. Could you dive into what style points means? Is it pretty much passing the eye test where a team wins and looks good doing it, or is there more criteria that goes into style points? I just kind of make it your own. When I think of style points, I think it's doing what you're supposed to do and look good doing it. I think is a great place to start. Sure, run up the score, but you're not going to keep your starters in the fourth quarter up 30, but when Gass and Moore and the backups go in, continue to run your offense because those guys deserve to score as well. I mean, you remember back in 2022 when Joe Milton would throw bombs to Squirrel White? Those guys deserve to find the end zone too, and if you're a backup and you're scoring, that's on the other team. Stop them, right? I mean, if you're playing your backups, run your offense and go score the football. That's what I think about that. But nonetheless, just do what you're supposed to do. Defense dominate, offense score points. Backups continue on. Don't let up, more steam, all that type of stuff. Be efficient. Don't turn the football over. Don't stall out in the red zone because Tennessee's made many habits in doing that. So it's got to make it your own. But when I think of style points, that's kind of what I look at it right there. Tyler wants to know, World Series has baseball on my mind, so next Twitter Tuesday, who on the roster for Tennessee baseball could fill Kirby's role? The emergency break kind of guy to get out of a jam. So it's a really interesting question. And that's why I think the start of the season is going to be very interesting for Tennessee baseball because A.J. Russell is not going to be ready for the start of the season. You're trying to replace a couple starters who you have no more. Drew Beams, Andrew Seacrest, those guys are obviously gone. Tennessee was kind of doing a piggyback situation on Friday nights to begin with last year. Still won a national championship. I think Liam Doyle is going to be your Friday night guy. I think Tegan Coons, a freshman, is going to be a weekend guy. And then I don't know about the third spot. And of course, none of that's scary. Liam Doyle is going to be a weekend starter. I would assume Tegan Coons right now, highly touted freshman, is going to be a weekend starter. And then there's a lot of options. If Marcus Phillips could ever figure it out, they would love to start him. Nate Snead can obviously start games. Dylan Loy is the answer to my question here, though. Dylan Loy can 100% start games. You saw how crucial he was in the SEC Tournament Championship game against LSU. But a guy, when I think of Kirby Cannell, a guy that can come in, pitch multiple times on the weekend, and come in and get you out of a jam, can go a couple innings if needed, that's Dylan Loy to me. Plus, he's a lefty, just like Kirby was. I think Dylan Loy could be a multi-inning guy over the weekend, a multi-appearance guy over the weekend. But he could also start games. So, again, that's why I'm not getting paid all that money that Tony Vitello is getting paid. He can figure it out. But my answer to that question would be Dylan Loy. And I'm intrigued to see kind of how, what all that looks like as, the season gets near. We'll do a couple more here before we hit the reset. And we'll go to the YouTube channel, Bolin Family. Another mailbag question. Do you think Dylan Sampson's recent bout with fumbles is because, fumbleitis is what you said, is because he is being used so much and is getting tired? Hopefully we can have a little bit more balance this week against Mississippi State. Love seeing Peyton Lewis in the game. Good for Peyton Lewis. Thought he took advantage of his opportunities for sure. So Dylan Sampson's fumbles the last 2 games have both come, I believe, in the second quarter. They both come relatively early in the game. At one point in time, I know he ended up with 27 attempts, but I want to say going to the fourth quarter, Dylan Sampson only had 16 touches. And I'm not saying that that's, hardly any, because it's certainly a good number, a high number, but I did not think that he was going to be on pace to finish with 26 and 27 attempts like he did against Alabama and Florida. Lo and behold, he did. But since the fumbles were early in games, I'm going to say no. I don't think he was tired there. The one the other night, I mean, the linebacker, he was stood up. He had a couple guys standing him up, okay, and the linebacker just went in and muscled the football away from him. Now, you got to hang on to the football. I get that, but that wasn't like he wasn't carrying it like a loaf of bread or anything and being like, lazy about it. I think Dylan Sampson's fine. The fumbles have hurt here lately, but you still won both those games. He's obviously having an All-American type season. But nonetheless, I don't think it's because he was tired. Now, if he would have fumbled in the fourth quarter, then I think that's a different conversation. Another question here from Bolin Family. Who played better, Jalen Smith or Jeremiah Telander? Seems like Smith was on the field more. Who played more? Well, who played better? Both of those guys, neither one of them really jumped off the page to me in real time or in rewatch. I think Jeremiah Telander's solid. I know Jalen Smith had one of his better games. He was 9 tackles. I think he finished second on the team in tackles. He had a high Pro Football Focus grade for whatever that's worth. Jalen Smith played 34 snaps, which is a whole lot of snaps. Jeremiah Telander played 37 snaps. So they about played the same amount. I mean, credits Brian John Marie last year for playing Carter, for playing Telander. Credits William Inge this year for playing Telander when Peely was still going, for playing Smith, for playing Perry, for playing Edwin Spillman when he's available. I mean, this is helping Tennessee. This is helping Tennessee in a big way. Let's go to EdKate9615. What will the offensive line look like for next year with most leaving? It's a good question. Quickly off the top of my head, left tackle Hurd, Carrick is gone, your center's gone, Spraggins is gone, John Campbell's gone. So right now you're looking like you got one offensive lineman returning. I think I think that transfer portal can be an option for sure. I think William Satterwhite's going to be your center. I think you got some guys coming in. Like, where's Bennett Warren at this time? Highly rated 4-star offensive tackle this last class. Where is he a year from now or heading into fall camp? David Sanders, your highest rated commit right now, 5-star, top 3 nationally. I think he's going to have a conversation about being one of your starting tackles. So I don't know. It's a really good question. As far as guards, man, I'm not sure. William Satterwhite I think is going to be in there. Where's Sham? Aiden Bussell. I really couldn't name you all those right now, to be completely honest with you. But William Satterwhite, I believe, is going to be your center. Last one before we hit a reset. Vol Woodworker. Is it just me, or does everybody play their A game against us? And why does it seem to always be that way? And why is it that we seem to have more rivalry games than anybody else in the country? Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Missouri all seem to be rivalry games now. That's the beautiful thing about college athletics, man. You make it your own. Like, to me, Florida's a rival. Alabama's a rival. To me, Vanderbilt's not really a rival, but to my grandfather, Vanderbilt's the biggest rival. To my father, Alabama's the biggest rival. To me, Florida's the biggest rival. I just think that's one of the most beautiful things about sports. And sometimes the SEC tries to force these rivalry games on you. The Arkansas, Missouri, some of these other ones. Like South Carolina, you can make the case it's been kind of a rival here lately. Tennessee, Missouri, and other sports outside of football. Really, in football too, I guess you could make the case. I think it's kind of I think it's one of the awesome things about college athletics. But other teams can make that same case, especially when there was divisions, like an all SEC East matchup, right? An all SEC West matchup. In terms of everybody playing their A game against Tennessee, well, I mean, if Tennessee would just play, not even its A game, if Tennessee would just play its B- game offensively, those games wouldn't be that close, right? I mean, if you can just finish in the red zone. Somebody jumps in my comments yesterday saying I'm the biggest hater in the world, negative media and all this type of stuff. I praise this team. You're 7-1. This is a good football team. This is a really, really good football team because of its defense. But it can be a great football team if the offense, who has gotten better week by week, the tackles used to be the worst problem, not anymore, right? Your quarterback used to be making freshman mistakes and couldn't hit a receiver down the field. Yeah, it's a work in progress, but he just played his best game. Running back's been there all season long. Right now, your receivers are letting you down. Your kicker's letting you down. Like, you're improving week by week. So if Tennessee can just play its C- or C football game, these games wouldn't be that as close. Kentucky would not have been as close. Alabama would not have been as close. So Yeah, I think Tennessee is just not playing where it's capable of offensively, and that's why teams have, been hanging around a little bit. All right, when we come back, more of your mailbag questions, all that and more as we continue on here with your Tuesday morning edition of Locked On Vols. Hey guys, I want to tell you about my friends over at ZBiotics. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make ZBiotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. So here's how you do it. Step 1. For best results, make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Step 2, drink responsibly, pace yourself, hydrate, and get a good night's sleep. Step 3, enjoy tomorrow. Wake up feeling refreshed and ready to tackle the day. Go to zbiotics.com/lockedoncollege to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Locked On College at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with 100% money back guaranteed, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund you your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/lockedoncollege and use that promo code lockedoncollege at checkout for 15% off. Go ahead and check it out today. All right, guys, we got a couple minutes left here on Locked On Vols. You guys know me. I rambled on in segments 1 and 2, so we're going to work at a fast pace here and try to work through your questions. Vol and Arky, what has happened with Cam Seldon? I heard a rumor he's going to be transferring. Any truth to that, or is he just injured? I don't know specifics. I don't know anything like that, but the way it looks right now, he's played in 4 games. He's not played in any game since then. And when Deshaun Bishop got hurt, they put in Peyton Lewis. So make that what you want, but right now it certainly looks like a guy that might be headed for a red shirt. Now, is that Seldon's decision? Is that Tennessee's decision? Was it mutual? I don't know. Could that change? I don't know. We'll see. But certainly Cam Seldon's not been a part of things. And, he was banged up. He was injured. He was kind of behind the A-ball. And then Deshaun Bishop came on strong, and you got to credit him, for that. But it's not been Cam Seldon's year, that's for sure. But he has not returned kicks. He's not played in the game. He did not come in due to injury the other day. So that tells me that he is not in the picture at all. Let's go to Don. More of a general college football thing. This is the first time in what feels like ever that there's no one true dominant team. It's going to be a fun few weeks to end the season, and Tennessee is right there in the thick of it. Just exciting as a sports fan. Also wanted to say that on the crossover episodes, you truly shine compared to the other schools representative. Vol Nation's lucky to have you. I appreciate that, Don. Thanks so much. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. Like so many years, it's like Clemson, and Georgia, Alabama. And I thought this year is going to be Texas. That's not the case. I think Oregon's a really good football team. I still think Georgia's good, even though Carson Beck throws the football to the other team repeatedly now. I think Texas is a good team. A lot of these teams that are in the hunt, like Ohio State's not bad. Penn State, even though it got beat last week's not bad. Tennessee's not bad. Alabama's not bad. LSU's not bad. A&M just like it's just so much fun, and that's why I'm so excited about these rankings tonight. College football's never meant more than it is right now, and it's a fun conversation to have. But Don, I agree with you. There's not been one true team this year, and I think that makes it even more fun. Braden, my guy, he got married a couple weeks ago, so congrats to him. He said, I believe these 3 guys who have stood out the most to me this season have had a monumental impact on our success. Coming into the year, we had no idea they would have this much success that they've had. They've become some of our favorite players to watch. They just simply play good ball. Those 3 players, Deshaun Bishop, Will Brooks, and Miles Kitselman. Yeah, man, I love the stories of all 3 of those guys. Will Brooks, how can you not love that story? Miles Kitselman, he never played for Alabama. He was in junior college 3 years ago. Never saw the field for Alabama hardly at all. And look at him. He's a stud for Tennessee. And then Deshaun Bishop, love that story, the local product. I couldn't agree more. I love the stories of those 3 guys. And Will Brooks might mess around and win an award when it's all said and done. Let's work through these questions here. Maybe I'll save a few for tomorrow's show, but until then, I'll work as fast as I can. Jared says, should D. Samp at least be in top 10 Heisman discussion? 100%. I'm going to dive into that conversation later this week because I think it's time to have that conversation. In the SEC, he leads in yards. touchdowns, is tied third in average. Nationally, he's ninth in yards, tied for second in touchdowns, not to mention a single school, record. Yeah, I'm going to have that conversation, as the week goes on, because I think he deserves it. Plus, playing in the Southeastern Conference, the best of the best. Clayton says the offensive scheme seems fine, but at what point does Heupel have to take some blame for the lack of discipline, execution, and focus that continues to hinder our offense? It all starts with coaching. I like Josh Heupel. I think he's a good coach. He's making $9 million a year. His job is to coach offense. And the offense it's improving. Again, we've talked about this. You're seeing signs of it getting better, and it's not always going to be roses. It's a game of football, right? The other team's trying to stop you. But, the penalties, the slow starts. Yeah, I mean, it does go back to coaching. Now, the scheme's not broken. We saw that against Florida and Alabama. The scheme is not broken. Execution's got to be there. But I think accountability. I mean, look at the defensive line. That group, and I'm not saying the other positions don't, but that group has a championship mindset. Okay, if one of those guys gets hurt, they're back at practice on Monday because they don't want to lose their spot. I'm not sure that type of mindset is at every single position group across the team. And I'm not saying that's on. I mean, at the end of the day, it's on your head coach. But overall, I still think he's doing a great job here. Michael says, do you see Chaz Nimrod getting the Jimmy Callaway versus Florida treatment following his drop, or is he going to continue to get playing time to make up due to Squirrel's health? We'll see, man. Mike Matthews is an outside receiver until we see otherwise. He is not lined up in the slot outside of a play that was schemed for him to score a touchdown against Kent State. Chaz Nimrod's the only other slot that they feel comfortable playing with right now. But it's interesting. Jimmy Callaway did not see the field after that drop against Florida. I thought Chaz made a couple of nice plays the other night, but the one that we're going to remember is the drop over the middle that would have been a touchdown. So I don't have the answer to that. But who's his replacement going to be in the slot along with Squirrel? I would say Mike Matthews, but he is not a slot receiver right now. So until we see something else, I'll say he'll continue to play. Let's see here. 2 questions. Is Peyton Lewis really the fastest guy on the team? That has been said. It's either him or Squirrel or D. Sampson, but Peyton Lewis is fast. Moy playing on offense. Is this something new, or has he had some snaps on offense before this season? It's in that jumbo package. I think it was against Alabama. Maybe it was Florida. Him and Nathan Robertson, both 2 defensive linemen, come in and 12 personnel. Tennessee's got 2 tight ends, 2 defensive linemen on the field, a running back, and I don't think they have any wide receivers. But no, we've seen that a couple of times just in the jumbo set. NBA Vol Boys says, doesn't it seem like we fix a small problem every week? We take a step closer each game in another category. Great teams continue to get better every single week. It seems like we're the poster child of that this year. The heart wants to think we're on a... I have to go down here. The heart wants to think we're on a crash course for the perfect game in Athens. Hey, I'm with you, man. But yes, I just said that, right? Like, the tackles were the issue. They're not perfect now, but they've gotten better. Quarterback's gotten better. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, continue to get better, a little bit better each and every single week. Yeah, Tennessee's certainly done that. Now, if you can just put it all together, like the offense, receivers got to help your quarterback out, but the offense just got to finish. Can you take that next step of finishing in the red zone? If so, you're going to be a pretty good football team. Should there be concern for Max Gilbert and the kicking game, or did he just get in his head after the first miss? I think he just got in his head, but yeah, there should be concern. He's missed, 5 of his last 6, and some of those were 50-plus yarders because they were so desperate for points. I understand that's kind of putting him in a bind, but going into that game last week, he was perfect from 50 yards within, from 50 yards and in. So, yeah, I mean, there's big week for him. Big week for him for sure. And if you move on from him, if he continues to struggle, can Josh Tuberville handle that load? We'll have to find out. Steven says, can Mike Matthews catch a TD pass that hits him in the hands? If so, maybe he should play more. Yeah, the receivers are certainly not helping. And Chris Brazzell dropped the touchdown. Chaz Nimrod dropped the touchdown. I'm with you there. Okay, let's get to one more. ESPN had a stat during the game that there have been 4 other teams that have held their first 7 opponents to under 20 points, and all 4 won a national championship. Does that give you more optimism or confidence about this team, or make you more nervous that we might waste an elite defense this year? I mean, I've never been championship or bust type of guy, but no, that gives me confidence for sure. I mean, history's on your side. I'm not saying Tennessee's going to win the national championship this year, but certainly this Tennessee defense is really, really good. Now, if you get to the college football playoff and you make a run and you don't win the national championship, I don't consider that a waste of a defense. Now, you might not have a better defense next year, but you just got to make the most of what's handed to you. And you got to continue, as the poster before this one said, just continue improving, week by week. All right, I do believe we have one question. SBC Vols says, is it the first time a team has run for over 100 yards against the Vols this year? No, Florida did it, but Kentucky ran for the most against Tennessee for sure. Well, we already talked about Chaz Nimrod a little bit. Okay, last one is right here. Stat of the year. Only one starting quarterback has made it through the whole game against the Tennessee defense, and that was Jalen Milroe of Alabama. That's laying some wood. Defensive football is the greatest. I love defensive football. I love defensive football. That stat is mind-blowing, okay? Whether Tennessee's blown out an opponent, whether Tennessee has injured an opposing quarterback, you never hurt for injuries, okay? So I'm not trying to say that. Or Tennessee defense is so stifling, the opponents are just trying to make a move. I mean, that stat is incredible that only one starting quarterback that Tennessee's played or one offense that Tennessee's played in 8 games has finished the game with the quarterback they started. That is a mind-blowing stat. This Tennessee defense hits hard. Don't want anybody to get hurt. Okay, so don't twist my words here, internet. But this Tennessee defense hits hard. They're relentless and they're good. And it is so much fun to watch. All right, went a couple minutes overboard. I do apologize. Appreciate you guys as always for making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch each and every single day. Make Locked On SEC your second listen here today. Locked On College Football your third listen. And we'll continue to dive into Mississippi State a little bit. We'll talk to Josh Ward tomorrow. We'll recap. I might do a bonus show because I'll probably have this show canned up and ready to go for it to come out overnight like normal. I might do a brief little mini podcast later after the college football playoff rankings are unveiled. We'll have to see, but we'll talk about it one way or the other. Where is Tennessee going to be ranked? All that and more. You can talk about it. You can get up to date and have some good conversations with us right here on Locked On Vols. Appreciate you guys as always. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, everybody.